When I met Bill Hamilton, who later became my father, the foundation of our relationship was body surfing because that's the most, I would say, the most primal aspect of surfing. It's the purest form. It's no fins, no board, no just your body and the energy of a wave. And so I was, at 3, not a great swimmer, and so I would ride his back and use him like my own human dolphin, which my daughters do today. And so our relationship really was founded in the ocean, on waves, riding waves. And my first sensation of going inside of a wave and being in what we call a tube was on his back. I rode him into a wave and would beg him to take me out and to do that. I think that was the foundation of our whole friendship and our relationship. I've been needing a dad, so I've been kind of looking for one. At least I thought I did because I was 3 and I didn't have one. So I thought he would be the perfect guy. He looked like the guy I wanted to be my dad, and he was a great surfer. And so I had a plan to introduce him to my mother. And so I brought him home. I don't know how it was, but I got him back to the house and introduced them. And they had mutual friends. And maybe I just thought I was being Cupid, but at the end, they fell in love and got married, and he became my father. And then I was surrounded by all these men that were great surfers and great divers and great fishermen. And you look back at some of the Hawaiian culture, and it was like the guy that was the great surfer was second only to the king because that skill and that knowledge was respected and admired by all. So at the end of the day, I did feel loved and protected. And I think that was probably the most important part that all these surfers had on me was I had a family, and not having had really any family because my mom left the little bit of family that we had on the West Coast to come to Hawaii alone. You start to adapt your tribe. I might have been little, but they protected me and befriended me. And at the end, I think that really had a huge impact on me. In 1969, one of the biggest storms ever to hit the North Pacific, pump surfed into Hawaii. I had to evacuate my house in the middle of the night, and the water was breaking through the house and underneath the car. And I think that had a huge impact on me as a young man, just because these were waves that were so big that all the beaches were closed. It was evacuation. It just reminded you that there was something like an untamed dragon, that there was just this huge dragon that no one's ever gotten to be on or ride. And I think that's kind of the birthplace of my desire to want to ride these giant waves, is that they're like the untamed. It's the unconquered. We can go to the moon, we can go to Everest. There's a statistic that more people have gone to the top of Mount Everest than have ever seen a 100-foot wave. And giant waves are so unique in their appearance, and then they disappear. They vanish. But somehow they're so powerful and so big, and then all of a sudden they're gone. And so there's something mystical about that. There's something really mystical about how they're formed, all the variables it takes to make this unique situation happen. And then all of a sudden you can actually get on one and ride it. I mean, that's stuff of fairy tales. I mean, and in a way, I think as a young man, and I think as a man, as a human, we all want the fairy tale. And then we get older and time goes by, and pretty soon we don't believe in fairy tales anymore. There's a saying, to retain your youthful enthusiasm. I think that's probably one of the keys to staying young. Being in the ocean has a powerful effect on your spirit. I was born with that missing gene that tells you you're supposed to be scared or that's dangerous, and I like the thrill. Waimea Falls is a big waterfall. And so there's places on the side of the waterfall that you can jump into a big hole down below. I wanted to go to the top, and guys were diving off the top of the falls. I'm 6 or 7 or whatever I was, maybe 8. Probably much too young to be jumping from that high. Let's just put it that way. To me, men or no men, it didn't matter. They could do it, I could do it. So I just jumped. I think in that situation, that's where I could find kind of a measurement of my strength, was like, hey, I can jump higher than you. That's where the foundation of that kind of ability was, to be able to assess and then make the leap of faith, because you have to have a certain amount of faith to believe that, first of all, you can make it. Second of all, that it's makeable. But there's an assessment always that happens first. I always say there's a difference between crazy and then risk takers. A crazy guy stands in front of a bus and he doesn't move and he gets run over. A risk taker might stand there and at the last second he'll jump out of the way. So you see the bus, you're like, okay, I'll get out of the way, but you're not going to just stand there and go, well, the bus isn't going to hit me. So in a way, there's a certain kind of being realistic about it. You're not just hiking up and just jumping off. You know how deep it is. You know where the rocks are. You've seen other people do it. Maybe you haven't seen other people do it, but you just know what you've done before, and then you assess it, and then once you made the decision, then you jump, and you jump with faith. You just jump with the belief that you can, that you've done everything you know to